Well, it's been 6 months since the Ambassador Bridge received the last major permit required to build a new span across the Detroit River. The bridge company has been busy and the progress is notable alongside the 88-year-old structure. Still, there are some bumps in the road for that new bridge. Now, our Rich Garten sat down with company officials and you prepared a series of stories, Rich.
That's right, Jim. As we know, the bridge company wasted absolutely no time bulldozing their blighted homes on Indian Road. And while progress is still being made, the demolition of a few properties has hit a predictable snag.
West End residents had hardly absorbed the fact that a new bridge would be coming before the homes on Indian Road started coming down.
They're jumping the gun, and they know they're jumping the gun.
Homes that sat boarded up for nearly a decade as lawyers and city councilors blocked any demolition in that neighborhood.
That doesn't work, and it just puts money in the lawyers' pockets.
On September 6, 2017, with the Canadian permit in hand, everything changed.
As soon as we got the okay to tear down those homes, I think within a week we had a local demo company come in and start taking them down.
It wasn't just the landscape that changed, so did the company's approach. Stan Korosek of the Canadian Transit Company says the Maroon family wants to work with and not against the project's perceived opponents.
We have done some things wrong, but he wants to change that whole relationship. We want to change that relationship and start, moving forward in a positive manner, not only with the federal government, but with the city of Windsor and all the stakeholders here in the West End.
Today, the land on the east side of Indian Road sits largely vacant, razed to the roots. Everything's cleared except two properties in particular, this house and the Villa Maria, a former residence near the Detroit River.
And there was some digs done.
And during the digs, historically significant Indigenous artifacts were found. Not surprising, considering just a stone's throw away at the Sandwich Roundabout, construction fell months behind for the same reason.
We're expecting to find some there. So before we start digging, the places that we're going to disrupt, we're working closely with the Walpole Island First Nations.
Dean Jacobs of the Walpole Island First Nation has indicated it will have an archaeological monitor on hand to oversee any digs to ensure the land of their ancestors is protected. Bridge company officials are hopeful any interruptions are minimal.
And that's important because the bridge company has indicated a very aggressive timeline to complete the project. It wants to open to traffic well before the competing and publicly funded Gordie Howe International Bridge. Jim, tomorrow I'm going to showcase some of the other significant progress that's being made on site here.
I've always believed competition is a good thing. We're seeing it here, aren't we?
Yeah, it is a good thing, and I'll even touch on this further into the series, but it's going to be good for jobs in the area to have two bridges being built at once, absolutely.
All right, Rich Garten tonight. Thank you, Rich. We'll look forward to that. Good evening. The first phase of the Ambassador Bridge project is moving along. CTV News has learned the bridge company has awarded the contract for the new truck inspection plaza on the Canadian side of the border. It's a multi-million-dollar contract that will secure hundreds of jobs for the region, and the work is going to a local firm. Rich Garten joins us with an exclusive Rich Part 2 of your series with the Ambassador Bridge people.
That's right, Jim. We've been told from the get-go that the entire bridge construction project will create thousands of jobs, and that promise is starting to bear some fruit. TCI Titan Group has scooped up the first contract to build the new truck customs plaza, a job valued at roughly $50 million.
Work has already started on the future truck inspection plaza.
Right now, we've got a contract signed with a local contractor for about $50 million worth of work.
TCI Titan Group was chosen for that work more than a year ago, but it's not public until now.
For their purposes, they're anxious to get going. We're anxious to get going.
If you're a Windsorite, you'll be proud of what is there.
TCI Titan Group has done many major projects from Windsor to Toronto over the past 20 years, but President Art Usoletti tells CTV News this job is the most prestigious.
As we were awarded the project, I went and looked at the history of the bridge and being part of what I think is really a monumental and historical build.
The plaza is considered a necessity because all secondary truck inspections are currently conducted off-site, about 2 kilometers down here on Church Road on Industrial Drive. This project promises to enhance security by moving the plaza to the foot of the bridge.
So that eliminates that whole need to escort and transport trucks further down into the corridor.
In consultation with the Canada Border Services Agency, a new 9.5-acre plaza will be built just west of the new bridge, in this parcel of land at the end of Indian Road. Stan Korosek of the Bridge Company says aside from a lot of surface paving and 8 new customs booths, TCI Titan will also construct a standalone border services building, one that fits with the neighborhood.
The building will be designed so that it fits in with the nature of the West End, you know, not a steel and glass type thing. It's being designed so that, you know, it'll fit in with the nature of historic Sandwich.
Usoletti says he's already hired additional engineers and architects, with more construction workers to follow. He adds this phase is just one example of the huge economic impact this bridge will have on the region.
That really lays into the bridge company's philosophy of keeping it local and keeping it Canadian. So I think that's a huge factor.
If you go to the future site of the truck plaza right now, you can see they're starting to push dirt around. Usoletti says he's hoping to start more heavy construction within the next 30 days. The entire Ambassador Bridge project is estimated to cost $1 billion. And Jim, remember, the company says they want to have the bridge open by 2020. So they better get rolling.
I was just thinking as you were talking, Rich, the current bridge has served us well. It's been here for 90 years odd. Any indication how the replacement bridge, how long that is designed to last?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea, but I would guess probably something in the neighborhood of 100 to 150 years would be a reasonable amount of time for a bridge to last in today's standards.
We'll be long gone, but it'll be interesting to see. Okay, Rich Garten tonight. Thank you, Rich. As CTV has been showing you over the past several nights, things are happening and happening quickly with the Ambassador Bridge Enhancement Project. There is one major outstanding issue, one the bridge company believes could significantly delay what is taking place. This is fascinating, and Rich Garten joins us now with part 3 of his series.
Thank you, Jim. I still remember that day the bridge company received that final permit from the Government of Canada. It seemed like it caught us off guard, but they knew it was coming. But buried within the permit, a list of 28 conditions that must be met to build the new bridge, things like design specs and security measures. There's also 5 conditions very specific to the demolition of the existing bridge. The bridge company, however, believes that conflicts with the permit obtained in the U.S.
Even when the new span opens to traffic, the Detroit International Bridge Company wants to maintain the 90-year-old Ambassador Bridge for special events, emergency vehicles, and as a redundancy measure.
So there's many good reasons to maintain it.
The bridge company received the final permit for the new bridge from the U.S. Coast Guard in 2016. But back in 2008, a memorandum of agreement was inked stateside, along with a preservation agreement which stipulates maintenance of the existing bridge and that it be listed on the U.S. National Register of Historic Places.
We don't want to tear down the old bridge.
Enter the conflict. The Government of Canada's permit has 5 conditions regarding the demolition of the existing structure, and that it shall, prior to the commencement of the construction of the replacement bridge, provide the minister with a list of all permits and authorizations in Canada and the United States for the demolition of the Ambassador Bridge.
So the Order of Council is the law of Canada. It's the law signed off by the Prime Minister, and end of the day, this is what has to take place.
That's kind of in contradiction with our permit in the U.S. side, our Coast Guard permits, which says you shall maintain and preserve the bridge. It's on the National Historic Registry over there.
But according to the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, even when something is officially listed on the National Register of Historic Places, it is an honorary designation that confers no legal protections. The State Historic Preservation Office confirms the decade-old agreement doesn't afford the bridge official designated historic status, but does outline an arrangement with the owner to maintain and preserve certain attributes of the bridge. Attributes like the main towers, signage, and cables.
One side's saying you got to do it this way, and the other one's saying you got to do it that way. Like, what do you do? We can't tear down half a bridge.
The bridge company wants the governments of Canada and the U.S. to sort it out.
But don't let that stop us from moving forward now and making $500 million investment in this area.
CTV News reached out to Transport Canada. Officials say the department is aware of the 2008 Memorandum of Agreement and reaffirmed its position. Officials said the Canadian Transit Company must comply with all terms and conditions of the approval in order to construct the replacement bridge. The Canadian Transit Company must determine how to meet these conditions.
The State Historic Preservation Office tells CTV News it is reviewing the preservation agreement from 2008 and evaluating potential impact that the other side, federal or international permits, may have on it. Meantime, Windsor West MP Brian Massey has sent correspondence today to Transportation Minister Mark Garneau asking if his office has spoken to their U.S. counterparts and to see if it's working towards a resolution, Jim.
Rich, you have one more report in your series Friday to round things out.
Yeah, just to round things out, I'm talking to the community, the people who are most impacted by the bridge, so we'll see what they have to say.
All right, most interesting. Rich Garden tonight. Thank you, Rich. Well, this week, CTV Windsor has been pleased to bring you a series of stories about the construction, progress, yes, and even some hiccups toward the building of a new Ambassador Bridge. And today, your chance to respond. Rich Garden has been speaking with some of the people affected by the project and joins us now. Rich, with the final installment.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, there are thousands of people who call Sandwich Town home, and for nearly a century they've put up with dense international traffic at the busiest border crossing in North America. Now they're faced with not one but two bridges crossing through that part of town, and their frustration is mounting over the lack of benefits promised for the community.
This is what keeps Terry Kennedy up at night.
This literally is a danger zone.
The sound, the air quality, and dozens of other ways this bridge and the new one are impacting historic Sandwich Town.
This literally is what I call cultural genocide. To literally wipe away an entire neighborhood, without any proper consultation or process.
The lifelong Sandwich resident has been crusading against the Ambassador Bridge for decades. He wants some benefits for the community aside from what's being ordered by the Canadian government.
If we're getting $40 million from one bridge, we better be getting $40 million from the other bridge. Period.
The Canadian permit issued by order of council in September guarantees green space, the rehabilitation of surrounding road infrastructure, and a replacement fire hall. Brian Massey, the new Democrat who represents the West End, says it's not enough.
It's not a gift back to the community. It's only required because of the disruption and the changing of the traffic patterns and the threat to their own safety. That's why it's required, and they shouldn't have to pay for it twice.
Massey has long advocated for residents to get their fair share after enduring 90 years of international truck traffic and a century more to come.
They are literally surrounded by billions of dollars of profits and benefits for corporations and private individuals who are basically benefiting from their quality of life.
Matthew Maroon, the son of billionaire patriarch Matty who owns the Ambassador Bridge, indicates he'd like to work together to build the crossing.
We want to change that relationship and start, moving forward in a positive manner.
Is it the Olive Branch residents and business owners have been looking for?
The olive branch to me has got thorns in it. Okay, I don't bite. I don't bite on that one.
Joseph McHale owns land in the West End on College Avenue. He's seen the ripple effect. Boarded up homes, shuttered schools. Even his own commercial property sits vacant.
Systematically, by removing feet on the ground, he managed to eliminate an entire community. He blockbusted an entire civilization effectively at the West End for his own personal gain.
There's a lot to take in when it comes to this story, and I'll fully admit I've merely scratched the surface over the past 4 days. What I have learned, this project is moving forward and quickly. Discussions are happening with the city. The billion-dollar bridge will most likely be built. The existing one will most likely come down. Thousands of people will be put to work over the next 3 years, and the taxpayer won't be footing the bill. But for the Detroit International Bridge Company, finding a friend on the West End may be the tallest task of all.
Some very strong views expressed, Rich, particularly from your last speaker there.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and he's a businessman in the community. He's very upset because he owns a piece of land, and this new plaza potentially could be boring a road, as far as plans go, through his property. He hasn't been spoken to. He's not happy about it.
Thanks for bringing us things that we didn't know before. Rich Garden
tonight.
Very happy to.